Good morning and welcome to Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. I'm your host, Margie Curry, and today's session is with yoga instructor Becca Impello. We want to remind you that AARP is empowering people to choose how they live as they age. AARP is a nonpartisan 501c4 organization with more than 420,000 members in Alabama. AARP's role is to advocate on their behalf, all of them, without regard to politics. When the pandemic began, AARP Alabama decided to continue our healthy living events online. Mindful Movement provides an opportunity for you to keep moving in the safety of your own home. Hi, Becca. What are we working on today?
Good morning, Margie. Thanks for having me.
Good.
So I enjoy doing this for AARP of Alabama, yourself and all your members. Well, today we are going to do a just nice all-around practice, meaning that we'll try to do something for, all parts of the body, and we'll also try to get in some of that good breathing and relaxation and stress reduction that yoga can give us. So that's the plan for today.
Sounds like a good plan. Remember, everyone, before you begin any exercise routine, you should consult with your physician to be sure it's safe to participate. Take it away, Becca.
All right. Thanks, Margie. All right. Well, today it's a good idea to have a chair. However, if you're comfortable on the floor, you can sit on the floor and you can do the sequence on the floor. I'm going to show two options today once we get to that portion. I'm going to show how people can do the sequence and the movements with their chair or get down and do them on the floor. So you'll see me doing both and you get to pick which one works best for you. All right. So just remember to take care of yourself and be smart with your movements. There's no need to push hard or go to any real extreme. You want to be gentle and kind to your body. We're using this 30 minutes to get us moving a little bit, get us breathing a little bit, help us to calm the nervous system and practice relaxation. All right, so we're going to start seated. You could sit in a chair like I'm doing, but I did mention that if you don't want to use a chair and you're comfortable getting down to the ground, you can sit in any comfortable position on the floor. It's a good idea to sit on a pillow or a folded up towel or blanket just to make it a little easier on your back and your hips if you're sitting on the ground. All right, so let's just sit up tall and start to roll the shoulders a few times. We're going to do just a couple of little warm-up movements, mainly for the neck and shoulders, and then we'll do a bit of breathing work to sort of center our attention and bring our mind to our body, and then we'll get a little more vigorous with our movements. Of course, I'll be giving you choices for how you do those movements, all right? And then we'll end with some nice relaxation at the very end. So let's roll those shoulders one more time. Bring them up, slowly back and down, and let them just stay back. And then start to gently turn your head side to side. Now, as you're making these initial movements, I want you to be noticing just how does your body feel? What kind of sensation do these movements create in your body? Is your body giving you any kind of warnings anywhere? Like, be careful here, things are a little tight. Okay, so just be listening in. You want to see if you can pick up on those signals from your body. All right, now sit back tall, center up the head, drop the chin towards the chest, and just pause a moment. Let that head, just the weight of it, gently hang forward. Shoulders are still back. And now let's give it a roll. Ear towards one shoulder, and then forward across the chest, ear to the other shoulder, other ear to the other shoulder. Take that roll across the chest a few more times. All right, next time that head, it comes back to center. Pick the head up. Drop the arms down to your sides. Circle your wrists. Go the other direction. Open and close those hands a few times. All right, and a little bit of breathing to center our awareness and just get us, using that diaphragm, taking a fuller, deeper breath. Turn the palms as far forward as is comfortable for your arms. And then on your next inhale, start to sweep the arms out to the sides and up as high as you can go comfortably. And then exhale, we're just going to place the palms facing down and drop them towards your lap or just to the front of the belly. Okay, that's our breathing for a few more rounds. Inhale, sweep the arms slowly out, big breath in. Exhale. Hands right down to the abdomen. Good. Now you're taking the deepest, fullest breath that you can comfortably take. Into the nose, and you can go out through the mouth if you want. Let's do 3 more of these. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. 2 more. One more. Now we're going to just pause. Bring those hands right to your abdomen. You can place them right on your belly or they can hover a little bit in front. And I just want you to see if you can feel that belly move out, move in. Inhale and just let it move out. As you breathe out, pull the belly gently in. A few more times, just nice diaphragmatic breathing, really good for your heart and lungs, really good for your nervous system, your brain. And really anything that's good for your nervous system is good for everything else. All right, now just a little more warming up before we transition to our standing up position. We're going to take one arm and sweep it up and stretch up and over. Now, if you want to put that hand on your chair, so I'm holding on to the leg of my chair here, you might grab the seat, or if you're sitting on the ground, you could place that hand on the ground beside you. Take a couple breaths into this side of your body, the rib cage, the waistline. See if you can feel that space opening up. And then release it and come back to center. Pause just a moment. Notice how that side of your body feels differently compared to the other side. All right, and then let's go the other direction. You can put that hand on the edge of the chair or the floor beside you if you're on the ground. Stretch up and over. Take a couple deep breaths. Try to breathe into that rib cage, waistline, that whole side of the body. And then bring it back and pause. And just, again, notice how things feel. It's always okay to close your eyes as you're taking your attention inward. That's a choice you can make. All right, and then next, let's do a little twist. So sit up tall, turn in one direction, and take that forward hand across to the opposite leg or knee, whatever you can reach comfortably. The other hand is behind you, maybe on the chair, maybe touching the ground if you're sitting on the floor. Maybe it's floating in the air. That's okay too. Sit up nice and tall. Maybe gently twist a little further. If your neck feels stiff, you might decide you want to keep moving that head back and forth while the rest of your body stays in that twist. All right, on an inhale, we're going to unwind it, bring it back to center, and pause. All right, and then a nice lift up tall again, twist the other direction, front hand across to the opposite leg or knee. Other arm behind you, maybe resting on the chair. Again, maybe if you're sitting down on the ground, you reach the floor. Keep breathing. Maybe turn that head a bit back and forth. Good, and then unwind it, come back to center. All right, now we're going to transition positions. Remember, I said I'm going to show 2 different ways to do most of this next sequence. For anyone who'd prefer not to go all the way down to the floor, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter why you might decide not to, but you can use a sturdy chair. Make sure it's not going to slip or slide. It's on a sturdy surface like a non-stick floor or up against a wall. If you don't want to use the chair, you'll be coming down to the floor eventually, and you'll be on hands and knees some of the time. I'll be going back and forth to show you both options. So just remember, I'm going to be doing both. You can pick one. You don't have to flip back and forth. Okay, so either way, let's stand tall. Maybe you're standing in front of the chair, or maybe you're just standing in the middle of your space. Bring your hands to your heart. Just take a moment to just feel your feet on the ground. Push down into the floor, tightening up those thighs. Lift up through the chest, like you're standing nice and proud. And then on an inhale, reach up. And we're going to start with a folding forward. So those knees soften and you fold forward. Your hands can come to your thighs or to the chair. Maybe for those without a chair, you dip those hands down to the floor. Okay, if they don't touch, that's okay. You can just sort of hang unless that's uncomfortable on your back or your legs, in which case get your feet a little wider. Bend the knees a little more. See if you can come down. Now, if you're on the chair, you're using that chair for some support, and drop in as low as you feel comfortable with. Let's take 2 more breaths. Good. Now, if you're using the chair, you're going to stay right here and you just straighten your arms a bit. So you come up into a position that has that spine pretty much horizontal to the ground. If you're not using a chair, you're coming down to hands and knees. Just make your way down to hands and knees on the ground. All right, so you're either in the chair with your hands or you're on the floor like I am right now. We're going to move through cat and cow. This is a spinal movement. We go through spinal flexion. That's rounding your back up towards the ceiling. And then go into spinal extension. That's where we arch the back, take it into a little bit of a sway. Now, you make these movements big or small depending on how it feels in your body. But try to keep breathing. You might synchronize your breath if that works for you. Exhale as you round your back, and inhale as you arch your back. All right, keep going. Now, I'm going to transition back up to the chair, but keep going if you're on the floor. I just want to make sure everyone can see how this works for standing up and using the chair. All right, now everybody's going to come to that place that's sort of neutral or flat. So you're not rounded and you're not arched, but you're more parallel. All right, so let's do a little strengthening. All right, so stretch the right leg back behind you. So if you're down on hands and knees, you're stretching that right leg back and lifting it up. All right, and then see if you can add the left arm and reach it forward. This will challenge your balance, so it's okay if there's a little wobble. Good. Take a couple more breaths. Good. And then bring that hand and that knee back down. Give me 3 cat-cow movements. So round and flat or arch, round and flat. All right, keep going. One more. I'm going to come back down to the ground just to show what this balancing work looks like from that perspective. All right, so we're back to neutral. We're back in the center. Take the left leg back. All right, you lift it as high as is comfortable for you. So remember, if it's a little lower than I'm showing, that's okay. And then see if you can bring that right arm forward. Good. Keep breathing. You're holding as steady as you can, but don't worry if you're wobbling. That doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means this is a little bit of a challenge for you today. All right, we'll bring that down. Again, give me 3 more of those cat and cow movements. Good, one more. All right, now we're going to make a little bit of a hip motion. All right, so hip circles. Hips move to the right, let's say, and then swing back a little bit behind you, and then over to the left and back into the center. All right, so hip circles, slow, big movements. We're trying to just help loosen up those hip joints, especially the outer hip. All right, keep going. I'm going to transition to show this in the standing position. So essentially, soft knees, just like we were doing the cat-cow, and swing those hips around in space. All right, let's go the other direction a few times. Good, one more circle. All right, now we're coming to a downward facing dog. I'm going to show it on the chair first, and then I'll pop back down to the floor. So simply walk the feet back if you're in the chair until those arms are extended and your hips are pressing back. You can bend your knees a little bit here. All right, now if you're down on the ground from hands and knees, you're tucking those toes under and lifting the hips up and back. You got to push a little harder with those arms here in this version, okay? Either way, either position, you can do a little movement. Bend one knee, straighten the other, get a little shifting going on from one foot to the other. Let's take 2 or 3 more breaths, but remember, if I'm ever holding a position longer than seems right for you, you have full permission to come out early, to stop and take a break, to move on to something else. All right, now we're coming to a plank pose. So I'm going to shift my body forward until my shoulders are over my hands, roughly. You do the same thing in the chair. If you're down on the ground, you can drop your knees to the floor, okay? Keep pushing nice and firm through those arms. Here's what that plank looks like in the chair. All right, firm press from the arms. Get those legs to lift as well. Just bringing those thighs a little bit back. One more breath. And then we'll all transition back to downward dog. Now, if you're down on the ground, you have another option. You could put your knees down and you can shift back to a child's pose. All right. Now, I'll show the way to do this on the floor in just a moment. We're going to step the left foot towards the chair if you're using that and come into a lunge. Now, you can keep your hands on the chair or you can bring them up. All right, so if you're down here with that downward dog, you're going to step 1 foot forward. If you need to put your knee down, help yourself get up, you can. You can stay here with the knee down, or you can try to come up to a lunge that's high. All right, take a few breaths here. Remember, you can come out of it as needed. Try to lift up that low belly and squeeze that back buttock, okay? Get a nice engaged glute there. Maybe raise those arms up. Good, one more breath. Now we're taking our hands either back to the chair or back to the floor and stepping back to downward facing dog again. Now remember, if you're down on the ground, another option is to drop your knees down, but still be extending back, okay? I hope I'm not giving too many choices. I know sometimes all the choices is a little confusing, okay? All right, take 2 more breaths, downward dog. And we'll be taking the other leg, let's say the right leg coming forward to find that lunge. So remember, if you're down on the ground, if your hands are on the ground, you might take it to hands and knees. Get that foot forward. Take your time if you want. Bring your hands up. You could be holding on to the chair the whole time, or you can bring those arms overhead. Good, take 2 more breaths, lifting up that belly. Again, I want you to squeeze that back glute. All right, and then we'll transition. Once again, hands to the chair or to the floor, and step it back into that downward facing dog. All right, now we're going to come into plank again. So you're either plank on the chair seat, plank on the floor, maybe knees down if you're on the ground. Now, if you'd like a little added challenge, you can try and pick up one foot and bring that knee towards your chest. Okay, it's the same thing if you're in the chair. You pick up that leg and bring the knee towards your chest. Get a little more core work. And then take that leg back. Let's press to downward facing dog, or if you're down on the ground, you can take that child's pose. Take another breath. And then let's take it back into plank. You're choosing your version. I'm going to stay right here on the chair for now. Remember, this next part is optional. You don't have to do it. You can pick up that other knee and pull it towards your chest. And then step that leg back. One last time for downward facing dog. Pressing those hips back. All right, now we're going to all just walk it back to our forward fold. So take your time with this, especially if your hands are on the ground. You're walking your hands and your feet together or towards each other, and then we'll fold down. So maybe you're hanging towards the floor. Knees are soft, okay? However, if you bend your knees a lot, that's going to be pretty hard in your thighs. It's going to start to tighten. If your legs need to be bent that much, then you're probably better off using the chair for some support. Let's take 2 more breaths here in our fold. All right, and then we'll slowly come all the way up by shifting the weight into your heels, kind of sitting back, getting your balance, bringing your hands up, and then rising all the way tall with a nice reach, and then hands to the heart. All right, we're back where we started, at least for the standing portion. Take a moment here, check in, notice how things feel. All right, now we're going to do a little bit of balancing work before we go to relaxation. But don't worry, relaxation is coming. Now, you can use your chair if you need a little something to hold on to. Maybe just have it so that you can touch the tall part of the chair, or you could get close to a wall or another piece of furniture as needed. We're going to do tree pose. It's kind of the most commonly known balance pose from the yoga tradition, at least. So shift your weight into one leg. Bend the other knee and turn that knee out. So we'll just make that our first step for getting into tree. And you could keep your toes on the ground if balance is a real challenge. Maybe this is already enough. Or you could pick that foot up. You can try putting it right at your ankle, a little higher, maybe all the way up into the thigh. Okay, but wherever it is that you take it, go ahead and press your hips into the middle, your feet and your leg together. Stand up nice and tall. And then you get to choose. Can you take the hand away from the chair, even if it's just for a second? You can keep it close, or you can bring the 2 hands at the heart. Good. If you're okay with the hands at the heart, you could try spreading the branches up high and wide. Remember, when you're balancing, folks, a focal point for your eyes is helpful. So if you find something to stare at, not me on your screen because I'm moving, but focus on something that's stationary to help you stay steady. And if you're falling out and coming back in, that's perfectly okay. Again, that just means that you're giving your body a challenge. All right, drop those arms down, drop that foot down, and just give me a little walk in place. Just kind of shake out those knees, especially that one you were standing on. All right, and let's do the other side. So shift that weight into your other leg. Bend the knee, turn it out. Start right there. Bring that foot to the other leg and decide where you want to take it. How far up feels right for you. Good, and then you find your focal point. See if you want to bring your hand away from your support. Now, sometimes people are tempted to close their eyes in balance poses to help them focus, but I would say keep your eyes open and find that focal point, because eyes closed is going to make this even more challenging. Arms can spread if you're feeling okay with stretching those branches out. Take another couple breaths here. Excellent. And then we're bringing it down, dropping that foot, and just kind of shaking it out. I want to say a quick reminder before we switch to our relaxation that repetition is a really good idea. And these videos, along with the other mindful movement partner, Jerry, those are all in our Facebook and our YouTube feed on the AARP of Alabama. So when you find yourself on an off week and you want to do some yoga, or you're getting ready to travel and you want to revisit that travel sequence that I did a few weeks ago, they're all in those Facebook feeds, and I encourage you to go back and repeat so that your skill improves with it. Okay, it'll benefit you in lots of ways. We're going to go ahead and take a seat. You might be on your chair, you might be down on the floor, and in fact, if you are down on the floor, or if you have a couch or a bed and you want to lie down, you can lie down for relaxation. That can be a really nice way to support the whole body and get even deeper in your relaxation. Okay, so find your comfortable position. I'm going to scoot back in my chair and make sure it's supporting my back. Let's just take a last little roll of the shoulders back and gentle turn of the head. All right, and then settle that head back into the middle. You can close your eyes here if you're comfortable with that. That's just going to aid in the relaxing effect, hopefully. And then just see if you can soften your face. Think about your forehead, your brow becoming smooth. If there's a little knot between your eyebrows, try to imagine that dissolving and spreading out. Let those eyelids get heavy. The creases and corners of the eyes soften. Imagine that softening is coming down through the cheeks and releasing the jaw. And we're going to try to do this breathing in and out through the nose as best you can. Nasal breathing is our most effective, most efficient way of breathing. It's not always something that's easy to do, however, but do what you can in through the nose and out through the nose. And we're going to work with a real simple count, okay? Now, you get to adjust to match your breathing pace. I'm not going to count for you. I'm just going to give you a ratio. I'm going to give you a suggested number to use. And you might count faster if your breath is faster, or you might count slow if your breath is slower, just naturally, okay? So try and start to inhale for a count of 4. So you're inhaling for 4 counts. And then you're exhaling for 6. Okay, that might be hard to do right at first, but just see what happens. If you can't get to 6, no worries. Take a couple rounds to keep working on it. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. And just keep coming back to that, right? So you're just going to keep working on that ratio, on that rhythm. And use that count to give you that connection to your breath, that you have to focus, you have to stay aware, because you're not just breathing in and out, which you could do automatically without paying any attention, right? We do it all day. But since I'm asking you to inhale for a certain duration and to exhale for a certain duration, you'll have to stay focused. You'll have to stay connected to do that. Now, perhaps if this is a comfortable ratio, 4 in and 6 out is easy, okay, then you might try to take it to 4 in and 8 out. But not everybody's going to be comfortable with that. So just see if that's a good idea for you or not. We got about 40 more seconds of breathing. So maybe 3, 4 more breaths. On this next exhale, we're going to let this be the last one that we count. And then just open the eyes, turn the head a little bit. If you're lying down, you can feel free to stay and keep resting a bit or roll it over and sit up. That breathing practice, anything that helps your exhale be longer than your inhale, is a really effective way at bringing at least a little shift towards relaxation into your nervous system. So I encourage you to try that ratio breathing where you try to make your exhale a little longer than your inhale to help you practice that ability to shift your nervous system into relaxation, because it's all about your practice, everybody. Thanks for AARP of Alabama for having me, and I appreciate you guys being with me. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Becca. Excellent session this morning. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it because I surely did. Want everyone to stay on the line a little bit and see what other activities that we have coming up. But thanks a lot, Becca, and see you next time.
Thanks, Margie. See you next time.
All right.